Hello, Timeless Sagas fans. Today, we're going to embark on a high-flying journey through the history of human flight. So, buckle up and get ready to soar through time as we take a look at the incredible story of how humans conquered the skies. Our tale begins in ancient China, where the first kites were invented around 400 BC. These early kites were made of silk and bamboo, and while they might not have taken to the skies with a human on board, they were the first glimmers of our quest to fly. The Chinese were also trailblazers in other ways. They invented the first manned hot air balloon, known as the Kongming lantern, used primarily for military signaling. Talk about lighting a fire under your seat. Fast forward to the 15th century when the legendary Leonardo da Vinci, the original Renaissance man, drew up plans for an aerial screw or a helicopter-like flying machine. Though his designs were never built, they planted the seeds for future inventors to take flight. Da Vinci also created designs for a glider-like contraption called the ornithopter, which aimed to mimic the way birds fly. It's safe to say that Leo had his head in the clouds, literally and figuratively. Now, let's glide into the 18th century when things started to heat up, and I mean that in the most literal sense. In 1783, two French brothers, Joseph and Étienne Montgolfier, made history by launching the first manned hot air balloon flight. These daring siblings took to the skies in a balloon crafted from paper and silk, buoyed by the hot air produced by burning straw and wool. That's some serious sibling synergy at work. But the Montgolfier brothers weren't the only ones with their heads in the clouds. In the same year, a Frenchman named Jean-Pierre Blanchard and an American named John Jeffries made the daring decision to fly across the English Channel in a hydrogen-filled balloon. Sure, it might not have been the most comfortable journey, but they proved that long-distance air travel was possible. Talk about a breathtaking view. As the 19th century came to a close, inventors were looking for new ways to take to the skies. Enter the German aviation pioneer, Otto Lilienthal. He was the first person to make controlled, sustained flights with a glider. Unfortunately, Lilienthal's career was cut short in 1896 when he crashed during a test flight, proving that not all heroes wear capes, some wear glider wings. Now, let's fast forward to the dawn of the 20th century, when two bicycle repairmen from Ohio decided to take a stab at powered flight. You guessed it, I'm talking about the Wright brothers, Wilbur and Orville. These two ingenious siblings spent years studying the principles of flight, building on the work of their predecessors like Lilienthal. In 1903, the Wright brothers achieved the impossible when they launched the first powered, controlled, and sustained flight with their aircraft, the Wright Flyer. Though their first flight lasted only 12 seconds and covered a mere 120 feet, the Wright brothers had changed the course of history. And to think it all started with a couple of bicycle mechanics. As the world entered the 20th century, the race was on to build bigger, better, and faster aircraft. The First World War saw the rapid development of military aircraft, as countries raced to control the skies. In 1919, British aviators John Alcock and Arthur Brown made history by completing the first non-stop transatlantic flight in a modified World War I bomber. No in-flight movies or snacks back then, folks. The golden age of aviation hit its stride in the 1920s and 1930s, with record-breaking flights by pioneers like Charles Lindbergh, Amelia Earhart, and Howard Hughes capturing the world's imagination. These daring aviators pushed the limits of human endurance and technology, as they soared to new heights and crossed vast distances. But it wasn't just about going further and faster. In 1939, the world was introduced to a new kind of aircraft, the helicopter. The German engineer Heinrich Foch developed the Focke-Wulf FW-61, the first practical helicopter, which could hover and fly forwards, backwards, and sideways. Talk about a versatile flying machine. As the world plunged into the Second World War, aircraft technology continued to advance at a breakneck pace. Jet engines were developed, making planes faster and more powerful than ever before. After the war, commercial air travel took off, with airlines like Pan Am and TWA revolutionizing the way people traveled. The 20th century also saw humans reach for the stars, with the space race between the United States and the Soviet Union pushing the boundaries of flight even further. In 1961, Soviet cosmonaut Yuri Gagarin became the first human to orbit the Earth, and in 1969, American astronauts Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin walked on the moon. It's safe to say that the sky was no longer the limit. So, there you have it, folks, a whirlwind tour through the history of human flight. From the humble kite to the awe-inspiring moon landing, our journey through the skies has been nothing short of miraculous. As we look to the future, who knows what incredible flying machines await us? One thing's for sure, the story of human flight is far from over. Thanks for joining me on this high-flying adventure through time. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to Timeless Sagas for more fascinating tales from history. Until next time, keep your eyes on the skies and your feet on the ground.